Hello there, fellow Blu-ray collectors. Today I have some wonderful titles from Warner Archive to talk about. I have 10 here, and there are some fantastic gems in this stack. If you're not familiar with Warner Archive, they're a part of Warner Brothers, a team that has access to the entire Warner vaults. So they pick titles out and release them on Blu-ray, they restore them in excellent quality, and then they bring them to us to enjoy. So if you love classic Hollywood cinema, sometimes going all the way back to the silent era, and if you love the golden age of cartoons, etc., there's tons to experience from Warner Archive, and hopefully these 10 that I'm about to talk about will give you a sampling of what is on offer. I'm going to start with Splendor in the Grass. This is from director Elia Kazan. This is a fantastic film and one that has been missing from the format for a very long time. This is the film that introduced Warren Beatty to the world of cinema, and he plays alongside Natalie Wood. She is this young girl who falls in love with the Warren Beatty character, but the love is unrequited. And the fact that she can't have this man that she really fancies and loves drives her to insanity, basically. I know it gets said an awful lot about films that are ahead of their time, and being released in 1961, this one truly was, because of the representation of sexual repression and these complicated emotions that really you didn't see in cinema before this film. And it's this film that you can see giving the go-ahead to filmmakers like Mike Nichols, who would go and explore similar themes. This is such an important part of cinema, and I'm so glad to have it on this Blu-ray from Warner Archive. Next up, we go back in time to the 1940s with two of Hollywood's biggest stars, Errol Flynn and Olivia de Havilland. They died with their boots on. Tells the story of General Custer, and this is not entirely historically accurate, and I'm not that clued up on that period of American history, but I know that a lot of stuff in here is embellishment and just complete fabrication. Nevertheless, it is a fantastic film because it's directed by Raoul Walsh, who is an incredible director of the period, and these central performances that anchor the whole film are just mesmerizing. So this is, for me, absolutely golden age Hollywood. I love this film, and I'm so glad to have it on a Blu-ray finally. Sticking with classic Hollywood, we have Bright Leaf. This is a film directed by Michael Curtiz, who made so many films in his career, including masterpieces like Casablanca. This one stars Gary Cooper, Patricia Neal, and Lauren Bacall. So right there you have the recipe for an excellent film. This one tells the story of this tobacco tycoon who in the past he forced some families off land, and one of these family members is played by Gary Cooper. He wants to seek revenge on this tobacco tycoon. When he comes back to town, he meets this inventor who has come up with this idea for a machine that produces cigarettes en masse. And so they work together to plot their revenge on this big tycoon. I really do think this is a great film. It's just held back a bit by some of its pacing and a slightly stiff screenplay at points. But for the star power here, for Michael Curtiz and the great sets and how the film looks, this one is well worth seeing. Next up, I have The Prisoner of Zenda. This is the 1952 version because there have been multiple adaptations of this film throughout Hollywood history, and I believe this actually uses the same exact script as the 1930s version of this story. If you aren't familiar with the story, this is about a man who is about to become king, but he's kidnapped, and then the people in charge around the king happen to find an exact lookalike to play the part of the king. And then around this, there's all this dramatic irony because we, of course, know it's not the real king, but they have to keep up the facade. This version stars Stuart Granger, Deborah Carr, and James Mason. And I think that is a cast that all seems like it would work, but there's something about this version that just makes it not as good as that 1937 version. It's in beautiful Technicolor, and it is described as a swashbuckling adventure, although I would argue there isn't actually all that much swashbuckling in this film. It's directed by Richard Thorpe, and this is the first of 3 films in this video from him that I'm going to talk about. And perhaps it's just his command of this material and his direction is just not all that up to bringing the most entertaining version of the story to the screen. Maybe you will disagree, but for me, I liked seeing these actors in these roles, but the film just didn't quite come together. Another film from Richard Thorpe is Knights of the Round Table. This is the classic story of Arthur, Lancelot, Merlin, Guinevere, and it's kind of billed as this grand spectacle film that looks beautiful with the colours and some real locations at parts and some special effects where they're kind of adding in the background in post, but it kind of looks a bit wonky from a modern perspective. Again, it's a film that I really wanted to like, but I just couldn't connect with these characters, and I think the filmmakers were a bit more concerned with having this grand spectacle and not really showing us why we should care about what's going on. And this is a more grounded telling of the Arthurian legend, so there's less of the magical elements that you might want to see. So all in all, a bit of a disappointing telling of this tale. The third of these Richard Thorpe movies is A Date with Judy. This one stars Jane Powell and a young Elizabeth Taylor in this high school musical story which sees these girls vying for the boys in the school and looking forward to the school dance and also worrying about what their parents are up to. I don't want to spoil much about what this film is. This is probably my favourite of these three Richard Thorpe films I've just talked about. It's a beautiful looking film and one I've done a great job at bringing it to Blu-ray, so very thankful that I got to see this, especially because I love the people involved in here, especially Miss Taylor. Sticking with Jane Powell, we have 2 Weeks with Love. This is about these young girls played by Jane Powell and Debbie Reynolds, who absolutely steals the show here. These are young girls who they're on holiday with their family, and Jane Powell, she fancies this older man played by Ricardo Montalban, and the Jane Powell character is obsessed with wanting to wear a corset because she thinks that this will really impress this older man. Admittedly, from a modern perspective, there is some weird, perhaps creepy stuff going on here, but hey, this is Hollywood and these kind of stories were kind of shown on the big screen a lot. Debbie Reynolds really does steal the show, and this is a film with a lot of music in, and I just kind of wished that some of the music was a bit more memorable. The songs were a bit better, but there are one or two in here that really did stick in my head. Next, we come to The Cobweb, directed by Vincent Minnelli, and this is one that is truly underrated. It is most certainly a melodrama of the highest standard. It's set in this psychiatric clinic where the people that work there are arguing about the curtains of all things. Now, that might sound very boring. Trust me, it's not. This is explosive stuff. And you have a fantastic cast, including Charles Boyer, Gloria Graham, Richard Widmark, and Lauren Bacall. Sometimes you would just want to put on this kind of melodrama and watch these fantastic actors going at it. And this perfectly delivered on that for me. Then from the mid-1960s, we have Brainstorm. This one is a noirish story about this scientist who finds this woman on the train tracks and she's wanting to end her own life. He rescues her and finds out that she is in an abusive relationship with the scientist's boss. So as they fall in love, he decides that he's going to kill his boss and save the young lady from this horrible life. This is only the kind of story that Hollywood could tell, and I was perfectly in the mood for this. I had a great time. Then we come to the film Melinda from 1972. This is an early blaxploitation style film about this DJ who is a bit of a womanizer. He ends up meeting this girl, going back, they have this passionate sex, and then when she is killed, he is framed for her death. And so he has to evade the police, and he also wants to get revenge on these people that have set him up. It's a very entertaining premise, and at times it is violent, it is sexy, and it is very angry, this film. The only thing is the pacing was just off for me, because you would have these explosive moments, like real passionate moments, and then there would be a lot of talking in between. It's one of those films where it had lots of elements that I loved, but just the way they were put together did not work for me. I had a great time with it though, because I do love the blaxploitation films, even the lesser entries in there. There's always a lot to have fun with. So I hope that's given you a taste of what Warner Archive have been releasing lately. All of these discs are not region locked, so even if you are not in the US, you could import these and they will play on your Blu-ray player. Warner Archive have already announced a lot of great things ahead of us, so I can't wait to see what comes next. If you'd like more reviews and recommendations from me, just click the video that's on screen right now. Until next time, thanks very much for watching, and I will see you soon.